Before the rains came that season, a woman sat in the corner of her house, her hands shaking not from age, but from a wound that would not close. She had fed a serpent, clothed it, defended it, and when the serpent grew strong enough, it bit the hand that had saved it. This is not a story about kindness repaid with cruelty. It is a story older than that. A story about the difference between raising a child and sheltering a stranger, about the thin line between mercy and foolishness, and about the deepest betrayal, the one that wears the face of family. If you have ever opened your home to someone and wondered if you were planting seeds or inviting shadows, listen closely. Because this story begins with love and ends with a truth that breaks more than hearts. Long ago, in a town where red earth met green hills, there lived a woman named Adunni. She was not young anymore. 49 seasons had passed through her life like wind through open windows. Her husband, Bayo, was older still, a man of 56 years whose voice had grown quieter with time, whose footsteps no longer hurried. They had been married for 13 years, years of shared meals, shared silence and prayers whispered in the dark, asking for what never came, a son. Adunni had carried 3 children in her womb. Only one drew breath in the world, a daughter, Ayo, who grew into a woman herself and eventually brought forth a child. Adunni became a grandmother, but the ache for a son of her own remained, buried but alive, like a root beneath dry soil. Still, Adunni did not speak bitterness. She rose each morning, prepared her husband's food, kept the compound clean, and carried herself with the dignity of a woman who had learned to live with emptiness without letting it hollow her completely. But Bayo carried his own quiet wound. One evening, not long before the girl arrived, Adunni heard him speaking to a neighbor in the courtyard. His voice was low, but she caught the words clearly. "Do you think a man can live a full life without a son?" Bayo asked. The neighbor said something Adunni could not hear. Bayo laughed, a bitter sound. "My wife gave me a daughter. I love her. But when I am gone, who will carry my name? Who will pour libation for me?" Adunni stood frozen in the doorway, her chest tightening. She had heard him express this before, but never with such weight, never with such hunger. She said nothing, and the words settled between them like stones in water sinking deep where they could not be seen. Then one rainy evening, 6 years before our story finds its edge, a girl appeared at Adunni's door. She was 16, thin, eyes wide with fear and exhaustion. Her name was Folake, and she had nowhere to go. Her mother had died. Her father had remarried. The new wife did not want her. Adunni saw the girl standing in the rain, soaked and trembling, and something moved inside her. Not pity, something deeper, recognition perhaps. The memory of her own youth, when the world felt too large and too cruel. "Come inside," Adunni said. That night, Folake slept on a mat in the corner of the house. By the end of the week, she had been given a space of her own. By the end of the month, she sat at the table with Adunni and Bayo, as if she had always been there. Adunni taught her how to cook, how to clean, how to carry herself with respect. Folake was quiet, obedient, grateful. She called Adunni Ma. And when Adunni gently encouraged her, she began to call Bayo Daddy. "She is like a daughter to us now," Adunni told her neighbors. "God gave me one daughter. Now he has given me 2. The years passed like water moving through stone, slowly shaping everything. Folake grew, her body filled out. Her voice softened. Her laughter became a familiar sound in the house. She helped Adunni with the chores. She fetched water, swept the compound, prepared meals. She was good. She was grateful. She was family. Adunni defended her when neighbors whispered, "Why are you keeping this girl in your house? She is not your blood." "Blood is not the only thing that makes family," Adunni said firmly. "Love does that too," And she believed it. Down to the very bottom of her heart, she believed it. But even in the brightest compound, shadows grow when no one is watching. Bayo, who had been a quiet man, began to speak more when Folake was in the room. He smiled at her jokes. He asked about her day. He bought small things for her when he went to the market. Fabric, soap, shoes. She is young, he would say when Adunni noticed. She has no father to care for her. I am only being kind. And Adunni, trusting, nodded. Because she believed in kindness, she believed in family. She believed that the home she had built was strong enough to hold everyone without cracking. 6 years became routine. Folake was no longer 16. She was 22 now, a woman still living under Adunni's roof, still sleeping in the room Adunni had given her, still calling Bayo Daddy. But something had shifted, though Adunni could not name it. A feeling, a heaviness in the air that appeared when she entered a room where Bayo and Folake were talking. The way their conversation stopped too quickly. The way Folake's eyes dropped to the floor. Adunni told herself she was imagining things. That age was making her suspicious. That love required trust. And Folake, standing at the window one evening, watched Adunni working in the garden. The woman who had saved her, fed her, loved her. And for a moment, just a moment, something moved in Folake's chest. Guilt, perhaps, or fear. But then Bayo's hand touched her shoulder. And whatever small voice had spoken was buried beneath the promise of a house, a child, a life that was not built on gratitude, but on being chosen. She turned away from the window, and the moment passed. Then came the day that broke everything. Adunni's daughter Ayo had just given birth. A healthy baby, a boy. Adunni had gone to stay with her for several days, helping with the newborn, cooking, cleaning, praying over the child. On the 7th day, Ayo had a postpartum checkup at the clinic. Adunni went with her, but the appointment was brief. The doctor said everything was well. Mother and child were strong. Adunni decided to return home early. She did not tell anyone. She wanted to surprise Bayo. Perhaps prepare his favorite meal. Perhaps sit with him in the quiet of the afternoon and talk, the way they used to before life became routine. Before she left, she had asked Folake to stay behind and prepare food for Bayo. Make sure he eats well, she had said. I will return soon. Folake had nodded. Yes, Ma. Adunni walked through the town, past the market, past the well where women gathered to wash clothes. The sun was high. The air was thick with heat. She greeted neighbors as she passed. She felt light, happy even. She was a grandmother now. Her daughter was well. Life, though not perfect, was full. She reached her compound. The gate was open. She stepped inside quietly, planning to call out, to announce her return with joy. But something stopped her. Silence. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that hums with secrecy. Adunni moved carefully through the front room. No one. The kitchen was empty. Food sat unfinished on the counter. A pot of soup cooling on the stove. She walked toward the back of the house, toward the bedroom she shared with Bayo. The door was half open. And through that door, Adunni saw the end of the world she had built. Her husband, her Bayo, the man she had cooked for, prayed for, slept beside for 13 years, and Folake, the girl she had raised, the girl she had fed, the girl she had called daughter. They were on the bed, her bed, the bed where she had whispered her prayers for a son. They were not talking. They were not sitting innocently. They were tangled together, kissing, touching, like lovers who had done this before, many times before. Adunni's breath stopped. Her vision blurred. Her legs became stone. For a long moment, she could not move, could not speak, could not scream. And then slowly she stepped into the room. They did not hear her at first. They were too lost in each other, But then Folake's eyes opened, and she saw Adunni standing there. She gasped, pulled away, scrambled off the bed. Bayo turned. His face went pale. Silence filled the room like water filling a sinking boat. Adunni's voice came out low, shaking. "What is this?" Bayo stood. He did not lower his eyes. He did not apologize. He said only, "Adunni, I can explain." "Explain," her voice cracked. "She is a child. We raised her. She calls you daddy." Bayo's face hardened. "She is not a child. She is 22. She is our daughter." "She is not our daughter," Bayo said coldly. "She is not your blood. She is not mine. She is a woman, and I deserve to be happy." Those words landed like stones thrown into still water. Adunni staggered backward. "Happy? You deserve happiness." "I have given you 13 years, Bayo said, his voice rising now. 13 years of a quiet house, of waiting, of pretending that what we have is enough. I want a son, Adunni. I want a family that is whole." "I gave you a family," Adunni whispered. "You gave me one daughter," Bayo said. "That is not enough." Folake stood in the corner, silent. She did not speak, she did not apologize. She only watched, her face unreadable. Bayo looked at Adunni with eyes that had become strangers' eyes. "Leave my house." Adunni did not fight. She did not scream, she did not beg. She turned, walked out of the room, out of the house, out of the compound. And behind her, the life she had built collapsed like a house made of sand. 6 months passed. Adunni moved into a small room on the other side of town. She lived alone. Her daughter visited her, bringing the baby, trying to fill the silence with noise. But the silence was too deep, neighbors whispered. Some pitied her, some blamed her. "She should not have brought that girl into her home," they said. "She invited the serpent herself." Adunni said nothing. She had no energy left for explanations. Then the news came. Bayo had bought Folake a house, a small house on the edge of town. He visited her there, openly, without shame, and then, 3 months later, Folake gave birth to a son. The news reached Adunni like a knife reopening a wound. A son, the son she had prayed for, the son she had begged God for in the dark, on her knees with tears soaking the mat beneath her. Folake had given Bayo what Adunni never could. Adunni sat in her small room that night, her hands shaking, her chest tight, her blood pressure rising until her vision blurred. She did not cry. She had no tears left. She only sat staring at the wall, feeling the weight of betrayal pressing down on her like the sky collapsing. The girl she had fed, clothed, protected, loved, had taken everything, her husband, her home, the child she had longed for, and Adunni understood finally a truth she had been too kind to see. Not everyone you save will thank you. Some will wait until you turn your back, and then they will take everything you gave them and call it theirs. The days that followed were heavy, but Adunni did not break. She rose each morning. She prepared her own food. She swept her small room. She visited her daughter and held her grandson close, grateful for the family that remained. And slowly, so slowly she almost did not notice, something shifted inside her. Not bitterness, not hardness, wisdom. One afternoon, a young woman came to Adunni's door. She was pregnant, abandoned. She had nowhere to go. Adunni looked at her for a long time. She saw herself in that girl's eyes. She saw Folake standing in the rain years ago. And she felt something move inside her. Not pity, not fear, compassion, but this time, with boundaries. "I cannot take you in," Adunni said gently, "but I will not send you away empty." She gave the woman food, money, the name of a place that could help her. And when the woman left, Adunni closed her door, not with bitterness, but with wisdom. Years later, when Adunni was an old woman, People still spoke of her story. Some said she had been foolish. Others said she had been too trusting. A few said she had been a saint. But the elders, the ones who had lived long enough to see the patterns repeat, said something different. They said, Adunni's mistake was not kindness. It was believing that kindness alone could tame a heart that had already decided to take. And so the story is told, not as a warning against mercy, but as a reminder that love, when given without boundaries, becomes a door left open, and not everyone who enters will honor the home. Some will burn it down and walk away warmed by the flames. That is all. The story ends not with destruction, but with survival, with a woman who learned that protecting yourself is not the opposite of kindness, it is the completion of it. Her hand still shakes sometimes, her heart still carries the weight. But her door knows when to open and when to stay closed. The ancestors do not speak in thunder. They speak in the wisdom of a woman who survived and learned to choose herself. If this story spoke to you, share it with someone who needs to hear Adunni's wisdom. Subscribe to African Folktales by Jimena for more stories that heal, teach, and remind us who we are. Like, comment, and let us know. What door have you had to close? Until next time, may your boundaries be as strong as your compassion.